What's the word for like sentences?
Sentences. I'm sorry.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Hi!
Kia ora.
I'm Hannah.
I'm Emily.
And this is
The Tortured Book Club. Today we are discussing our books that we read for this month.
Yeah.
The prompt was Captive. I recommended to Hannah Call Me Evie by J.P. Pomare. Hannah recommended to me Kiss of the Blood Prince by Alessa Thorn. So, Kiss of the Blood Prince. My overall review, let's start with the star review, which everyone's star rating is different. So this might seem like really harsh.
Oh my god!
But I
So
personally don't,
rude.
because I don't like,
Oh.
I did give it a 2. I
That's
feel like it's a 2.5. Maybe a 3. I did when I looked, because do you know what I think? Do you agree with this?
No.
What I'm about to say,
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you agree. I think sometimes, like, I don't know what's the truest review. When you finish the book and instantly do your review on Goodreads, or when you, like, take a beat and then a few days later, or even a week later, then you do your star rating. Because, I'll be honest, I finished it, gave it 2 stars, and then I did look back at it a few weeks later and I was like, that feels harsh in hindsight, but no, why am I scared? I don't know.
I
think what I felt.
Yeah, that's a hard one. I just reread a book and it was 5 stars when I read it, and then it was 5 stars the second time, and then the third time I reread it, it was 3 stars. So
True.
I think it's okay.
Yeah.
I think it's more trying to stay consistent within how you review stuff.
Exactly,
that's
and that's
more
the real
important.
point. I read a book called Genuine Fraud by E.L. Lockhart. That is the book I sort of read before this one, and I also rated that 2 stars, and it had a similar issue, which is that although most of the book was okay and good, not just okay, good, the ending really just like...
Right, so you're an endings girl.
So, I don't know, like it again though, it just sours me at the end. And so maybe it was a bit harsh and I should have like let it simmer and let myself cool down before I did the rating.
See, sometimes a book for me can be 5 stars before I've finished it, because it's like, even if they ruin it from this point on, I'm so sold on what I've loved. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can
Do you see what I
understand
mean?
that, but for me, that would be a 4 star. That would be, I would have to knock that star
Because
off.
sometimes I'm like, oh, I can see why the author did this, like, for them. Like, it's their book, it's their creation. I didn't want that. I didn't like it. But I don't necessarily think it's bad. Do you see what I mean?
Oh, see, that is 2 different things, though.
Right, okay.
There is a difference between, like, this is just, like, a different choice for, in the context of the story, you took it one way, versus just, like, this is just not good writing or not good storytelling.
I just read so many books, I DNF most things. I borderline can't star anything at 2 or less. 3's the lowest I go, because if it's not a 3,
but that's why
I'm not finishing it.
But that's the thing. That's why I don't see a 2 as that low, because anything that bad I wouldn't finish.
Yeah.
But the fact I finished it already is like, yeah, this was a halfway decent book.
Right. Like 5 stars are hard to come by for you?
I don't know. I just feel it in my soul.
I
don't
feel
know.
like my soul, every other book is a 5 stars, so I'm just easy,
Yeah,
apparently.
so I don't know.
Okay, so Kiss of the Blood Prince, you gave it 2 stars, you bitch. Why?
Okay, so Kiss of the Blood Prince is a fantasy romance. It is a dark fantasy romance, I believe.
It was low on the spectrum. But
Low on the spectrum, but yes, maybe a beginner's dark romance. That's what I would call it.
Yeah.
This is definitely the darkest romance I've read, but it is not that dark.
She's kidnapped by the love interest.
Yes.
You have to say it's a dark romance.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So the very long and short of this book is that it is about a young girl who gets kidnapped by a fae warrior. He and his Fae people have come to England to seek revenge for past wrongdoings by humans. And yeah, crazy hijinks Elise is in, kidnapped, prisoner. I really like Elise as a character. It's told from her first person point of view, and I think I enjoy her sort of voice. It does have a little bit of the Fae point of view as well, though. I enjoyed the pace of the book. It's very quick. It's a very short book. It's like 160 pages. It felt like it was running at a good pace. I never felt like it was rushed, except maybe at the end, but most of the time everything had enough room to breathe, enough, you know, nothing felt crazily out of the blue. And you know how some books, it's just like, how did we get here? You haven't put any work into this. You haven't set the scene enough. It did that really well, setting the scene, setting the emotions, the characters, doing a little bit of world building, doing some nice exposition, scenery, that sort of stuff, but still very quick, and still lots of action, but also good bits of dialogue. So yeah, overall I was enjoying it. I personally found it like surprising, like I was like, whoa, that happened. I have a sneaky suspicion though that might be quite formulaic for fantasy. Like, I'm not sure, and we'll get into that further into the discussion. The ending unfortunately just started to take me out of the reality of the world that had been created. It felt a little bit unrealistic even within the context that we're in. Like, I know we're in a fantasy world, but even within that context it felt a bit just didn't feel right. So that was really what sort of brought it down to me at the end. And even though I liked Elise, I didn't like the Fae character that much. He didn't do much for me. So I wasn't too invested in them getting together, which is again probably contributed to the 2 stars. I mean, I was interested in seeing what happened, but I wasn't like, oh, I'm so glad, you know, they're together or something. I was just like, oh, okay. Yeah.
So I read Call Me Evie, my first ever thriller, and I was thrilled. I gave it a 4-star, I think. I did just finish it like an hour ago. So yeah, I think it's a 4-star. So basically we have our main character told from her point of view, and we're in the present and we go back to the past. She's been kidnapped by a man called Jim. Not a fan of Jim at all, like creepy as fuck. Made me really uncomfortable a lot of times. And we basically are seeing, yeah, he's kidnapped her and we don't really know if we can trust her memories, her, what's the word? Her version of what's happening. She doesn't, and like she's aware of that. Something's happened, something traumatic has happened in the past, and so now she's here with creepy Jim, and we go back and forth, and it's kind of like the 2 timelines coming together. And I am shook, and I'm still confused, and because I've never read a thriller before, I'm not entirely sure if I'm meant to have understood it or not.
Okay, yeah.
So I don't know how to chat more about it without spoiling anything.
Yeah.
Because it kind of feels like nothing happened in the entire book, but then at the same time, if I say anything,
yeah,
I spoil it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What was your rating?
4, I think 4.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Like, I rate generously.
Yeah. I mean, look, I do too. So those are general thoughts about the books. Now we're going to dive into some deeper talking points. So if you don't want to know spoilers, maybe head off, watch another video. But yeah, if you're keen, come along. I'm going to start with just some general questions about genre, I guess. Okay. Because there are things that like took me like, whoa, and I'm like, maybe they weren't that whoa.
Okay. Like what?
When they like finally had started sort of acknowledging their feelings and getting close together, that was when she was suddenly like whisked away. Like she was taken by one of the other Fae, who was like annoyed that she was like, you know, had the attentions of the Fae Prince, that she was just like disrupting, you know, the goings-ons.
Classic.
She wasn't really at all. And he like takes her away and then like throws her back to the humans. That surprised me. I was like, whoa, twist.
No, that's classic.
Yeah, and I have a feeling in hindsight that is like a classic romance trope of like,
there's different
now
ways.
they're together.
There's different ways to like word it, but yeah, like it's very much like,
so like if you had
won't they?
If you had been reading that as a romance veteran, would you have been like, oh, everything's going great? Yeah, something's going to happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
God, if it's going great too early, I'm like 2 stars.
Yeah, because it was early. It was,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. No.
Not too early, but yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I probably enjoyed it, I don't know, in a different way because I didn't know those tropes and things and those classic moves. One thing I just thought was really interesting, and I guess as a white person, I don't have heaps to say about it because I don't have that experience or that knowledge or expertise, but I just couldn't help but see the parallels of this fantasy world where the Fae, in this story for instance, the Fae, it sounded like they lived in England and they were then banished and now they were coming back to try to take their land back. Like, I'm just like, this just reminds you of what has happened to pretty much every indigenous population on the earth ever.
Yeah.
I couldn't ignore it. Is that a talked about thing? Is that intentional? Is this, I don't know. I couldn't not think about how much that mirrored indigenous people.
Okay, so that kind of like, because like she has lots of series that are all connected, so we have like lots of layers, and this is like a reoccurring thing, is like the importance of like looking after the land and all of that, and I honestly dislike it in the world, because it does feel heavy-handed. I don't know, maybe you didn't get that, but
like, do you think she is trying to make that comparison?
I think that it just doesn't feel like, it feels like she's like trying to fit a square into a circle kind of thing. Like it's too, I don't know.
It's a weird place for that kind of.
It just doesn't feel like it's like you're trying to make it relevant to the story. I don't know. Like, I don't know if they've intentionally written it with those parallels, but I get exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
It is. It's very like, we've come to take our land back kind of thing.
Being banished, wanting to seek revenge. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, interesting.
I don't like those points of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll agree, not just on that, because it almost felt like a lost, and this is where, again, my like more contemporary literary fiction genre, if you had a parallel like that would be like a whole theme of the book, diving into that sort of topic.
Like, it just doesn't.
So it was just this weird.
It just comes out of nowhere. Like, it's kind of feels superficial. It's not actually baked into the entire story. It's just.
It's not
like,
actually saying anything about.
It feels like
indigenous
It feels
people.
like virtue signaling. It feels like I literally never really understood what that means, but I feel like that's what it is. Do you get what I mean?
Virtue signaling is, I would say, I've always interpreted it as doing or saying something that signals to people around you that, yes, I have the right mindset about this and I believe this and that, but not actually doing anything to help said cause. So
or even just not
so she
having
has
that mindset. Like, some people just know fancy words, but it doesn't actually seep into their soul.
Okay, interesting. I guess in terms of, again, with the genre of fantasy. Yeah, the political stuff of like why they were there, I didn't find that interesting.
Okay.
I don't know, but that's not on this book. I don't in general find that interesting.
Political fantasy is probably not your thing. Yeah.
No, probably not. Here's a lighter note. Calling things like Albion instead of England and like Arawan instead of God. Nah. Couldn't keep a straight face. Like, fuck me. Oh, sorry. Arawan me. Like, I couldn't. I don't know. This may have been in my vlog. I can't remember if I said that then, but like, it doesn't roll off the tongue. Like, I get it. This is their version of their word for God. So he'll be like, Arawan, damn it. And I'm just like, pick a word that rolls off the tongue at least. Because also, I don't know much about this. And
that's hilarious.
I don't know how this works in, like, with other languages, because I'm sure we could research this and there's probably evidence about it. But I'm like, I think if your name for God is Arawan, that doesn't roll off the tongue, so I just don't think you would develop those phrases, because that's not how language works. Language usually kind of flows. Let's talk about some like good points as well. I don't want to seem like I'm just bagging on this book. I loved the library and like the library scene. You did it?
No, I'm not surprised that you did.
She gets to organize all these books and like,
yeah,
it's like fun.
I know. That's like a
What's
thing.
your beef?
No, I know. It's like a thing lately.
Is it a trope?
No, is it a trope? I don't know. It's like a thing lately that people are like, haha, bookish people read books. Let's write about bookish people in books. And it just feels like, no. Like, that's the thing. It's like, I want to do that in real life, but I'm not wanting to sit there in my library I've organized, reading about a chick organizing a library. I want to read about someone like fucking riding dragons. You know what I mean? Like,
true, I get that. It is like every play or movie that is about people who are in plays and movies.
The worst thing.
They take write what you know too far.
Year 11, I was just like, this is a play about a play. It's a play about a school class.
I did one too.
Play. And do you know that I held that shit together, Emily? Because none of those fuckers remembered their lines.
Oh, I remember. I was there.
Got to take charge because it was like horrifying.
Yeah.
But you know what? It worked because it was a play within a play. And I was playing a girl who was bossy. And guess what? I was a girl who was bossy. So it was method acting. Holy shit. I
had a very inappropriate, I say that lightly, but like kind of low key. Nothing illegal, but like a bit, drama teacher.
Nothing illegal.
And he had us do a play.
That should be a shirt.
That was about residents of like a mental institution putting on a play. And he suggested that maybe we go perform it for a similar institution to the one in the play, like to mental health patients.
That's bad on so many levels.
So many levels. I think he was serious. But he would not have organised that admin. Like,
that was
good luck to you.
That's so bad.
So bad. Anyways,
we digress.
Yeah. I guess my last one.
I love it. This is why it was 2 stars. Some good points. There was a library. Like, that was it.
No. Okay, some other good points. The sexy scenes. I did the trick. They were good. I don't know. It was different though, because I've read. I'm no child. I've read sex scenes, but not fantasy.
No one says that. I don't even think people call them sex scenes. Like,
what else would you call them?
Spicy or
that's immature. Spicy. No, I mean, I know that's what they call it.
PG rated. Like, you just can't be saying sex scenes like that.
Oh, you don't want me to say that?
Oh, you can. Yeah, I'm just saying it's funny listening to you saying it like that.
Okay. Anyways, it was interesting though, because I've never obviously read scenes like that where there was like magic involved. Like the gold blood and him drinking the gold blood. I didn't know how to feel. It was weird. I'm not saying I didn't like it. I'm not saying I did like it, but it was just like
the world of fantasy romance.
Yeah, I was just like, it's a new dynamic. Is all I'm saying. And I did. I do love an enemies to lovers. Like, this is gonna sound so nerdy and lame, but I always found it.
Has yet.
I always found it weirdly attractive when Harry Potter
Don't even finish the sentence.
in the fifth book, and he's just so fucking angry, and I'm just like, whew, like if I was walking through Hogwarts corridor and I just saw Harry with his fucking dark hair, just fucking like, fucking so pissed about. Hello.
I'm dying.
Anyway, so their whole first, you know, like getting together the first time they have a bit of fun together.
I never ever found Harry attractive in any movie. I just like to.
No, not the movie. Not the movie.
Or the book.
The book.
Or the books. Neither.
Who got more out of that series?
Draco Malfoy all the way.
Oh, this makes sense, doesn't it? Doesn't it? True.
Jesus Christ.
Anyway, so like their first scene with like the knife, and she was trying to kill him, and then now they're making out, and like, yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff. So like that part of it, definitely loved it. Look.
We should not be doing this so late. Like, I am just losing it. Yeah, that's so funny.
No, it's great. So I guess I will dive into why the ending really, really just threw me. There is one point where she is taken by the soldiers. Mm-hmm. The human soldiers are wanting her to give them evidence about like what's going on with the Fae, and she's not. But she also doesn't know anything, so like she's doing the best she can, bruh. Like she doesn't really have anything to tell you. Mm-hmm. And he says, no, he doesn't just say it. It's implied after she is rescued by the Fae Prince and they go into Fairy and she's put in the water. It's implied that she was waterboarded. See? And she laughing. Because it took me, as soon as that happened, as soon as that sort of came up, I thought at first he was just threatening it. But then when they go to Fairy...
Fairy!
Oh, Fairy.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, Fairy. It just sounds like I'm saying fairy with an accent. They go down into Fairy, and I was just like, and yeah, it's confirmed that I think she was waterboarding, because he's like, the healing pool will heal you, but like that's traumatic because she was just waterboarding. It's so dumb.
I'm going to read this again.
I'm sorry, Alessa Thorn. Like, because I get it. Look, if I tried to write a book, like, you know, like, it's hard. Like, I get what you mean. Like, props to writing a book, because most of it felt realistic. A lot of it did, but the waterboarding was too far. It took me out. It took me out of it.
Her books have definitely got better. Like, this is her first book in this pen name.
Okay, yeah.
That she's done.
Yeah.
Like, lots of her.
Yeah. So that was just an example of that sort of taking me out. Same with all the way through when Elise is like, I think I can convince them to, you know, the humans and the Fae to make peace. And I'm just like, Elise, okay, you're so dumb. Like, you think you can make a difference? I'm going to go out and vote. Like, come on. Like, sorry, everyone should go vote. It does make a difference.
I love the complete lack of consistency. Like, it starts out with, I really liked Elise, and then we've come to you being like, Elise was so stupid.
You can like someone and still admit that they're a little dumb.
Yeah, no.
I love her naivety. Like, it's endearing.
Oh, God.
She's really sweet, but I do think she's just a bit naive.
Yeah.
And it was also, again, just the fact that she thought that was possible. And not just that she thought it was possible, that the book, that in the world, the book was saying it as if like, yeah, this is a real thing, that she could help this happen.
This lonely Liberian that just happened. Wait, no, she is fated mates to him.
She's fated mates,
so
but
she is special in that way.
She is special, but the fact that she thought the Prime Minister was gonna play ball with her, like, you know, he was gonna come to the table, that she was gonna be at that meeting, that she would have clearance to meet with the Prime Minister. Like, it was just a little bit like, oh, no. It was the same way she was like, I wonder what the humans did. I'm like, what do you mean? What they always do. Colonize, colonize, colonize. Like,
oh god.
of course the humans banished them and was brutally abused them and killed them and took their babies. Like, of course. What else do humans do?
Okay, fine. I wrote it 2 stars.
No, because we don't even get to it. Then you have the meeting with the Prime Minister. So she does convince the Fae Prince to, like, I'm going to show you the world. Because they've been banished to Faerie and they don't actually know the real world and what's going on. So she's like, I'm going to show you and you're going to see. And again, you go into the British Museum, which again with this whole Indigenous parallels thing was just a wild choice. I think he sees stuff and is like, yeah, let's look at that. I know that. I'm like, this is weird.
Oh no.
Yeah, exactly. Again, no acknowledgement of like the really bad, you know, that the British Museum has stolen a lot of things and explicitly refused to give them back to nations. So like that, again, choosing that, like, just stay away from that. This isn't that type of book. So just
it's
stick
not
away.
The right book. It's
just
not
don't,
what the book needs.
Like, you could set it somewhere else. Like, or you just don't have to go to the British Museum.
Set it in like an imaginary world that they fucked over.
Exactly. Anyways, so they go there. He's like, okay, I'll meet with the Prime Minister and try to come to some sort of agreement instead of just flat out revenge. And again, that meeting was so dumb and unrealistic. Like at one point, basically, the Prime Minister has like someone else with him, obviously, very normal, but like he like pulls out a gun and shoots the Fae Prince. And then the Prime Minister, just like the way he acts and like afterwards he's like, don't worry, he's fired. And like, I don't know, just the dialogue sounded so fake and just not real, and just everything started to just not feel real. And it also,
it's disintegrating.
Yeah, it just fell apart a little bit. And yeah, I think endings do really taint my reading of a book sometimes.
Well, that's a great segue into what I want to talk about.
Yeah, so that's my thoughts.
Okay, so in Call Me Evie, at first I was kind of like, this is boring. And then I'd realize I'd read like 50 pages and I'd be like, maybe it's not boring.
Page turner.
Yeah. I enjoy the back and forth. So like being in the present and then going in the past.
Classic trope.
Classic.
Does that happen in your genres?
Not the ones I read, but yeah, it does sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't like all of the teen drama. Like it made me sad. Like this is why I don't read these books, because I was just reading it and I was like, the whole like drinking and like being 16 and drinking and then your friends are actually fucking cunts and sorry, that's sorry.
So true.
Like, you know, I'm just like, it's just sad. Like when it was like they were like exposing her scars, her friend, I was just like, man, it's so shitty that so many of us just accept this as a part of being a teenager and growing up.
Like it's such a relatable
like it's so
thing.
Normalized. Like the amount of times I just have been like absolutely wasted. And as someone who doesn't drink now, I am horrified at the thought of my children drinking ever.
Yeah.
Even as adults. Because I see like, so I struggled with that stuff a lot. Because that was kind of a big thing. It was her getting a boyfriend, the dramas of that, obviously, the boyfriend being a dick. Then we have the sex tape, obviously. I am like, did I miss the part where it was leaked? Or was it just like they broke up and then he leaks it off page? We don't see that.
I can't quite remember.
Yeah, that's what I found interesting, because it's like, I'm like, is this what happens in a thriller? They kind of like say a sentence and then they just like skip.
Yes, that is very common,
Like,
and it's hard to know whether it's like very intentional and you should be wondering what this means, or if it's just like, you get it, let's move on.
yeah, like it's not being sneaky. It's like they think you've got it and maybe you just haven't.
Like we said, say less.
Oh yeah,
But maybe sometimes say more.
yeah, because obviously I think what maybe happened was that she's broken up with the boyfriend, or she's breaking up with him. He grabs her phone to be like, how would you feel if I looked at stuff on your personal device? Because she's gone onto his computer and seen the video and photos he was meant to delete, that he said he would delete. And she's saying, I gave you consent to film them, I didn't give you consent to keep them. Like, it was supposed to be deleted, like it was a moment thing. And he's obviously a fuckwit 17-year-old, so he just doesn't comprehend at all that what he's done is extremely problematic. He then actually sees, holy shit, there are messages on your phone from some old dude. And I think he even saw
The
photos.
best friend's dad, if you're keeping track.
Yeah, so then it was like, he then freaks out, and then I think it comes out, like, Willow finds out, and then, so obviously I think then he released the video. She's throwing up, like, sad about the video. This whole time then we're going back to the present where she's being kept by creepy Jim. And I am just like so uncomfortable with how I can't trust what she's saying.
But you're also, yeah, like, did you feel like 80% of the time when I was reading this, I was rooting for Evie, but there was just this little voice in my head that's like, what'd you do? Like, what happened, girlie? Like, I want to be there for you, but you don't know what happened, I don't know what happened, and I'm praying you're not culpable.
Yeah, because I couldn't understand if maybe I hadn't got it, or whether it was like, no, this is what's meant to feel like. I was like,
yeah.
So then, you know, okay, fast forward, really. Jim is her dad. So this whole time, she hasn't known it's the dad? Is that it?
Yeah.
Her
yeah,
memories
she
have
was
been
genuinely,
fucked.
yeah, like, she's being authentic throughout the whole book, and that she does not know what's happened. She's, I don't know
lost her memories.
Yeah, is it because of a physical trauma, or is it because of a psychological trauma?
No, I think you can repress them.
Yeah.
Like, your body.
And potentially, I'm going to assume maybe her dad, if she doesn't even remember how she got from Melbourne to Makatu, is that because, did he maybe a few sedatives or something?
I don't understand how he just let her think, like, let her not know. Like, does he realise she doesn't know who he is?
I think he maybe does. I think he knows, and I think if he does, he is aware that, yeah, it's because of this trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you see? Yeah. So, okay, so here's the thing. So her dad is keeping her captive. And then it's like the dad killed the boyfriend. That's why they're in hiding. But Evie thinks she maybe did it, because that's what creepy Jim is telling her, making it seem like. And then she's, like, throughout the book realising, no, she doesn't think so. She's finding all these little things, blah, blah, blah. Then we have the epilogue, and it's her having the memory. And she says it's a dream, but then she's like, but I know it's not a dream because it's so vivid. And she's saying it's a memory, and it's her, like, the feeling of the brick and the crunching of the skull.
Sat on the mic. Hang on.
Oh, shit. So we have the epilogue, and it's her having this memory of holding the brick. So I'm like, what the fuck happened? I don't get it, because in it, it literally has Jim, creepy Jim, who we found out is her dad, is like, I killed him, and he has a whole story, and he is like, I can't do this anymore. He literally... Then, like, she goes to Auckland and the auntie comes.
So you don't know the genre.
Some books do this, right? It's like...
Yeah, like this thriller, again, I threw you a real curveball for this sort of thriller to start with, because in other thrillers, you aren't usually as confused. Like, this is chaos. Like, you really have no clue what's going on.
Don't know who to trust.
You know, other thrillers are... not always as much. You're still trying to figure out like what's happening. There's still a lot of suspense. I also want to touch on what you brought up, that scene earlier about the scene with the dad and how he's looking after the girl when she's drunk, and how it just felt so wrong. And even though the scene ended and that was like and nothing happened further, that is the beauty of a thriller. It can be almost nothing and it just fills you with dread. And it's the difference between a horror. Horror is seeing what happens after what actually happens. And a thriller it's like that, everything but. I think Kate did it.
Oh, really?
I think I'd have to, again, I read this like quite a few years ago.
I kind of think she did too.
I think she did, because these reading notes are saying like, oh, what do you think made Jim confess, which obviously would be to like save his daughter. I think she did. It would also be the most plausible explanation for why she did lose all her memories, for why something so traumatic.
So, because what happens in the book is that we get it's all Kate's POV. Mm-hmm. So we have all these things happen. Like, we have her mum got sick, like cancer, and then dies. And we have the nanny puts boiling water in the bathtub, and the little girl, Kate, is like 2 or something, and she... like the nanny leaves it there, and then she pulls the pot and it falls on her. And we have her dad hurt his knee in a rugby game and stuff. And then, so it's just like all these tiny moments like that are just like kind of, what's the word, innocuous. And then we get Jim's POV when we find out it's her dad. And he is literally like, the mum is suffering from something psychological, but he's really struggling with it because the sister is saying it's postpartum, and he's like, she's been sad since I met her 10 years ago. And he's like, you're just lying around on the couch, you're not looking after your daughter. He's struggling with like his career and looking after the kid, and he feels like she's not doing anything to help herself, like as in she's not taking her meds, she's not going to see a psychologist. And actually it turns out that the bathtub incident wasn't the nanny at all. It was him dealing with something out in the garage and getting really like flustered with something. And he is, and I think it's something to do with...
I'm like gasping like this is the first time I've heard
what's happening? And so he's like, you know, pours the pot in. He's like, you know, Kate, chill out kind of thing. She shouldn't even be alone in the tub. Like, that kind of got brushed over as well.
Just a note.
And so he splashes the water in, and it splashes up her legs and burns her. Right, and then we have his knee injury was actually him kicking down the door to find his wife, trigger warning, who like committed suicide. And her being sick with cancer was not sick with cancer. It was dealing with like depression, I'm guessing. It's not, they don't use that term, but you know. And then she commits suicide. Yeah. So it's like actually like a whole lot, like it's a whole nother world that Kate's actually had. That she's been told, lied
gaslit about.
Not even, I don't know if it's gaslit. I feel like the dad's hiding it.
Yeah, that's gaslighting though.
But is it gaslighting if you're doing it to, you think you're protecting someone? Is that still gaslighting?
Oh,
that's
great
bad.
Question.
That's bad.
Great question.
I'm not saying that's
sure.
okay.
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
To me,
maybe.
Gaslighting is to control and manipulate.
True, yeah, the intent to lie about a situation.
When we meet him and he's like, she's a teenage girl and all of that, he just seems like a dad who really cares about his daughter and is maybe struggling, but kind of okay. Like, it just seems like maybe he just felt bad and guilty because she's little, so she doesn't know. So he lies about it. I don't know if it's gaslighting or not, but yeah, it's not good. I don't think you should lie about that. And then we have him being, him then confessing to the cops at the very end, saying he did all this stuff. He killed the teenage boy. He went and met. But like earlier in the book, we have Kate's POV where she's like, she gets in the car drunk and her dad's running after her and she's going to the park to meet him. And then that's where she kind of like, it stops.
Was there also, from what I remember, it's also there's a confusion over who's died as well, Willow's dad or the boyfriend.
Yeah, so it's definitely the boyfriend died.
Yeah.
And he was hit in the head with a brick, and that's what the dad confesses to, and I'm assuming he goes to jail for. But I think Kate did it. Which then makes it so interesting, because it kind of is like, shit, so creepy Jim did this horrible thing, kidnap his daughter, blah, 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 but then you kind of come full circle to like, holy shit, he watched his daughter murder someone, and then he's trying to figure out how to protect her, having already hidden the fact that the mum was obviously like suicidal and killed herself and all of those things. And then it's like the fact that the ending is that he confesses makes you look at him locking her up, like taking her away completely differently.
Yeah. And it also,
is he creepy Jim, or is he just
dad?
Fucking like,
because also if we step back and realize it is her dad and she is 17, it kind of is no longer you're trapped. It's like,
no, you live in the middle of nowhere.
Like you moved.
Yeah, like you moved. You live in the middle of nowhere.
You moved. Like most, I mean, this can get into a whole other conversation about like how children should have autonomy and stuff. But like, yeah, when you're a teenager, your parents still call the shots a little bit, including like where you live.
No, you can't have a phone. No, you can't go to the beach by yourself at night.
Like, I've decided we're moving to Makatu. Like,
yeah, and then he confesses, but the way he talks about it, he's like, I've Googled it, you can't get DNA out of a brick, and on the brick they're going to find mine and Tom's. And that part was weird, but it felt like it was written way too intentionally, like, and then she has this weird memory where like he goes into the garage and then he comes back out and she is thinking he set me up. But now I'm thinking it's like he went into the garage and did something so that his DNA was on the brick.
Yeah.
And he says you can get fingerprints off a brick, but not DNA or something. And they're going to find DNA. So it's like he's taken her fingerprints off.
Something, yeah.
I don't know.
He's
yeah, like, I don't know. It was just like, it was weird that the very start of the book has these like sentences about the human skull and what it sounds like and all these like kind of creepy things. And then the very end is her having this, I had a dream, but it's vivid. And that's why I know it's actually a memory. And it's like the feel of a brick and the sound of a skull and stuff. And you're like, oh, this bitch did it.
Giving me the chills right now.
Yeah, it was wild.
I'm interested in your thoughts on a particular scene that I just remember so vividly when she escapes and manages to get into like his shed and escapes so much that she actually gets to like the neighbors, like Iso's house and stuff. And he's all running after her, I think. And like, how was that? Because like, you know, a sort of running scene, like that sort of scene
no, that was fine. I don't mind the running. But
did you enjoy it?
Oh yeah, I did. No, what I was creeped out by was like, why was the family, I couldn't figure out if they were bad or not.
Yeah, I agree with you. I always thought that was weird, and I think it is, from what I remember, and now thinking about now, I feel like it's a great example of like, it was a reminder that although we are kind of rooting for Evie and we think she's been kidnapped and blah, 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 to this family, they're like, that's that weird chick who keeps running away from her dad.
Yeah. Well, they think it's her uncle, but still.
Still, yeah, like, they are just like, this girl's a bit unstable.
Yeah, they're like, I'm really sorry. Like, they're like, I'm sorry, Evie. And then they walk in and the uncle's there. And she's like screaming, he's not my uncle, he's not my uncle. And it's like, you're right, he's your dad. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, he had asked them to look after her when he was away. Like, obviously he was saying stuff to them, but I don't know what.
Yeah, I think from Evie's perspective, yeah, they're being dicks and they're so, why aren't you helping me?
Yeah.
But most of us would, in that situation, would potentially have done exactly what they did. And been like, here's this young, obviously very scared, very mentally unstable girl. Her uncle's trying to do his best to look after her. We're going to help him out. She obviously, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know?
And it was...
And also,
okay,
maybe
the image, that was weird. That's one thing I wanted to ask. So... she meets a guy at the barbecue at the neighbours and he's like, oh, have I met you before? Swear I recognise you. With long hair. He's seen the video of her. She's like, he has a slight grin. She finds a picture and it's a still of the video. She thinks that the guy put it there, but then she finds images like that in the dad's shed. And she thinks he put it there to scare her.
Which also, did you think that Jim was maybe Willow's dad?
Yeah, for a little bit.
Yeah. Because that, again, would add into the creepy...
That would have been way creepier.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Yeah, but I was like, why would he put that still... Why would he put that photo in the letterbox?
Do we think Jim did it or the kid?
But it was from the shed. She said it was exactly like the ones in the shed. Who put the photo in the letterbox and why?
I don't know.
Because I don't believe that the guy at the barbecue was able to print out a photo and put it in the letterbox.
And why would he? It's not that good of a prank. It's not really...
The admin's weird. I don't think that happened. But I don't know why the dad would do it. She was like, is he trying to scare me?
Yeah, I don't have an answer to that. Yeah.
That was weird.
Feels like maybe just a chaos move to, like, from the author to just, like...
Yeah, and I'm like, maybe the dad, like, the thing is the dad is obviously losing it too. Like, he's completely irrational in that his daughter has murdered someone, but he's also not... He hasn't really done anything other than, like, oh no, but he does, like, hit her a couple of times. And then he says, like, he has some, like, explosive rage disorder. I feel like lots of us have that.
Which I also wonder then if he has that sort of explosive rage. You know, when I don't have children, but I imagine when you see children act in a way that you're like, wow, that is just so me. Like, I'm seeing my traits expressed so viscerally in you. That Evie or Kate, he was seeing his daughter have this explosive moment of rage that he could relate to.
Well, yeah, because she makes the comment towards the end when I think she's figured it out, and she's like, I get my, like, sadness from my mum and my rage from my dad, or something.
Don't we all?
And so she's kind of really is dealing with... It's also, it's an interesting look at, like, how things are passed down through families. Like, it literally is passed down because your environment affects you so much. So it's like she literally grew up as a tiny child in this environment with a dad who obviously had issues with rage, and then a mum who was depressed, for lack of a better explanation, like struggling like that. And that together, that's your two parents. So... That's like, she is then, like, she raged out hard, killing Tom, drunk as well. I think she'd also just slit her wrists right before she went.
Yes, I think that is a moment.
So, like, it was like this big heated moment, and then the dad is suddenly, like, thrown into, my daughter's gonna go away for murder, or I've got to do something. What is that something? What do you do?
Yeah.
So then he is just, like, crazy. Like, now we've moved to Makatu.
Survival, crazy survivor uncle
Like,
vibes.
it is survival, though. And so, yeah, so he is, like, she's not listening. She's, you know, unstable. It's just, it's weird. It's so weird. It was crazy. Oh, I was happy that the creepy dad came back into the picture, because I was like, why are we getting this storyline? But then it was like, oh, okay, it was kind of like a red herring, because you were like, is this Willow's dad? Like, did Willow's dad freak out and now he's creepy Jim? But then it was like, no, Willow's dad was kind of the catalyst for like the boyfriend to
release
the video, and it just became kind of like
weirdly, what I find with thrillers is that even though thrillers are usually made with every piece has a very specific purpose, which sometimes makes it easy to see what's coming, but sometimes you still don't, even though you know that.
It's spaced out like that.
Even though,
like, what? It was good. I'm excited to read another thriller.
Oh,
Yeah, I think so.
That's good.
But I'm like, can you get thrillers that like... I didn't like the teenage children aspect, but then maybe I don't know.
Oh, well, there's a lot of thrillers without...
Yeah, like, I guess
100%.
I didn't like the content.
Yeah, the context of like...
Yeah,
the settings.
I didn't enjoy that. But I did enjoy, you know what though, it is. I was like, this is why I'm kind of not into thrillers, because I was kind of like, is the point of it meant to be like what happened? Because then I'm like, just tell me what happened. Like, I'm not into surprises. So I just...
But then you still want to read another one.
Yeah, because then by the end it was more like... If I'm rooting for the characters, it was like...
Then it's satisfying to see what's happening.
Yeah, but that's why, like, the romance is different, because I do know what's going to happen. It's about a couple and they're going to get together. So it's more of like a journey of like...
Yeah. See, sometimes I feel like thrillers and romances are similar because of... Like this one, though, a classic thriller... It tells you what happens at the start.
Yeah.
And then you go back and see how it happens.
Yeah.
And a romance does, in the sense that simply by it being a romance, it's telling you these two are going to get together. And you're like, but how?
Yeah.
So...
Yeah. So that's the thing. Yes, by the end, that was how I felt. Like, by the end, I was like, oh yeah, I can see how it's like, I do kind of know that something happened and someone did something. And then it's kind of like you find out more of actually what happened. Yeah. It was good. 4 stars.
Lovely.
And that's all I
Love.
got.
Nice.